What's going on, franchise world? I'm Nick Powills with Charles Internicola. Charles, what's going on?
Sitting here without power, Nick, but all good.
Look, that's the beauty of technology today. You are given lemons and you make lemonade. Figured out a way to make it work.
Yeah.
This is episode 22. We're going to welcome in Jack Armstrong from FranNet in a second. For those of you who are watching at home, here's the housekeeping notes in case you don't make it to the end of the video. One, there is a franchise growth mastermind on Facebook. We've built this community of people that are starting to have discussions, and this is designed to help you navigate any challenges, like if you're out of power and you need some recommendations. Join that mastermind, and I'm sure someone would say use your phone. That's where Charles got that information. So be sure to look at that. And then secondly, go look at our YouTube page. We have content that's been going back since the beginning of COVID. You can watch the progression of how long my hair has gotten and how short Charles's has gotten. So two outlets for you guys to find more information. Jack, thank you for spending some time with us today. Appreciate it. Would love for you to frame what's going on in your business world. What's the good, the bad, and the ugly to kick this off?
Well, the good now is that we have a lot of people coming on webinars, looking, a lot more emails coming in, a lot more people we call circling the airport in airplanes. Because of the COVID that hit New Jersey first and New York City, it got a little bit more nervous up front. And so they're concerned about where's the economy going, but are the franchises open? What's getting good validation, not only during a possibly long recession, but during a pandemic? What can stay open? What can still work today? So we are getting closings done, but it's taking longer because of the environment right now we're dealing with in terms of COVID and, again, the economy itself.
I guess the biggest issue for all of us, including mine, right? I think this past week, we hired a new team member. But I also do find myself, I'm about to make decisions with other vendors, but then I'm sort of holding back a little. So you bring up the all-important question of uncertainty. How does uncertainty play out? What are the types of things franchisee candidates are communicating to you? They may be saying A, but they're really talking about uncertainty.
I think the biggest uncertainty is the job market right now with 13, 14% unemployment. A lot of people we're talking to don't feel they're going to be able to get back, especially in certain industries, travel being number one. They're not going to be able to get back in easily. So they're thinking, what else can be done? They're looking for, again, recession resistant, but they want fairly lower cost too. They're going more towards the service economy with the lower cost, easy to finance during this time. So they want anti-recession, easy to finance, lower investments right now.
Jack, whenever we're blindsided with anything, we lean back on our personal life experience to try to put it into perspective. So obviously, with COVID, we get hit with financial strain, health concerns, fear, mortality. I mean, we've never seen, any of us in our lifetime have seen something that has all these punches. But when you're looking at this and trying to coach the next wave of buyers through how should they be looking at this? Are you leaning back on 2001? Are you leaning back on 2008 to say there's some similarities with what happened in a disruption or a slowdown in franchise growth?
We do go back to I've been doing this for 25 years, and we do go back to 2001, the dot-com crash, the 9/11. Then we go back to the financial crisis of 08, 09. And we're walking people through it and looking at the franchisors and how did they successfully navigate this? How did they get through? What did they do for their franchisees at that time to help them? We're trying to impart that information that this is what you want to look at. We're finding they're going more for more established brands than some of the newer ones. The newer ones, they're a little concerned. Do they have the balance sheet? Do they have the resources to get through both a pandemic and a recession? I think people still feel that we're going to get through the pandemic within the next 6 months to a year, but they don't know how long this recession will last, how quickly we're going to bounce back.
Jack, I mean, there's a couple of factors there, right? Balance sheets of franchisors, lower startup cost opportunities favoring the service sector. Um, and I know, based on your position and reputation, um, every franchisor or every smart franchisor approaches you and says, hey, what do I have to do to build trust for my brand and get you interested in it? Jack, you mentioned people are looking more toward the established brands. What's some avenues that the emerging and startups could focus on, whether it's balance sheet support? Where do you see them having any opportunity to make headway here?
I think what the people are still looking for in this increased unemployment is they're looking for first for an earnings claim in the disclosure document. What are the units doing that are open? If you have company-owned units and you're just starting out, what did they do and how are they surviving this downturn? The more current the financial statements are, the easier it is to get someone comfortable with it. If you're given stuff that's just 19, it's not as relevant to the people right now going through the pandemic. The second thing we're seeing is a lot of franchisors are telling us we have great validation, but when people are starting the validation, it's not as great as they're telling them. The people are concerned about their businesses. Some will offer to sell them their business, and that's a red flag right there.
I mean, there's another good insight that, maybe 6 months ago we could hide things or sweep it under the rug and hopefully use enough counter content to counter any argument that the buyer might be going through. Here, they're definitely going to do their homework and their due diligence to make sure this is the right purchase. I want to back up to one thing that you're talking about on you're seeing some of the prospects lean more towards the established brands than maybe some of the emerging brands, yet the broker community ends up being a crutch for so many brands. Get me more deals, get me more deals, get me more deals. Do you feel like, is there a panic button being pressed by the emerging brands at all? Are they speeding up their amount of communication with you to try to convince you that you need to push your candidates through to them?
I think they're first trying to get their units, their operations stabilized. We're seeing the newer ones. What do we need to do to support our franchisees? They're focused on the franchisees right now to make sure they're going to have a business going forward. If you take certain industries, food, retail, fitness for sure, massage, a lot of them are still closed down in parts of the country. And they're trying to say, how do we help these people survive this? Do we help them with rents, debt renegotiations? What's going on now to help them? So that some of them are not as focused on newer ones, but more on a survival of the older ones we're seeing, the ones in the system.
Yeah, the validation of existing franchisees is critical. Jack, when you brought up an example, you said that sometimes in validation, franchisee candidates are hearing anything but validation or opposite, hey, buy my business. When you find that out and the candidate comes back to you and says, Jack, they really didn't validate. In fact, the franchisee is struggling and wanting to sell their business. Have you had the opportunity to have that conversation with the franchisor? Ask them what's up and why they think that's happening? And if so, how do they respond to that?
Well, they act surprised, but I don't think they are. I think that what they're focusing on is how do we get these people still showing us out there, get us some transactions going on, get some pipeline going forth. So they're focused again on trying to grow, but it's just not working out for them right now. It's not.
Jack, you've seen everything. You've seen successful franchisees and ones that have failed. Same with brands, franchisors that have taken off and ones that have not. In your gut right now, do you feel like we're headed in the right direction? Do you feel like the next wave of those being unemployed are going to be those with salaries north of $100,000, which could obviously open up a great candidate pool? What's your gut telling you where you're at right now? And then when do you expect that next good feeling to hit for the franchise community?
We're seeing more higher level candidates come in. I think the companies, when they're doing their cutting, are saying, This person's making 300,000. We can let one person go, or three people at 100, or six people at 50,000. So we're starting to see a higher level come in who's got decent balance sheets that can afford to do something. But these people are the ones who do a lot more research, a lot more digging into what's really going on out there. They've had these corporate skills of research and projection and supply chain management and all the things they've done before, and they're going through these same kind of research that they've done for their corporate jobs.
Jack, what are some of the questions these high net worth candidates are asking that franchisors aren't answering the right way or not prepared to answer?
I think what they're looking at for a business service, for example, how do you do marketing when other businesses are closed down? How do we go out and build a customer base? We can't go to networking, Chamber of Commerce, BNI, that it's not meeting. We can only meet so many people virtually. What are the new channels of marketing? How do we develop a client list? On the consumer side, they want to know about the labor. How do we check the labor? Are they healthy? How do we go about researching this? Before they send people in the homes with senior care, they have to check out their employees and make sure they're healthy. You have the same thing with some of the maid businesses right now. There's concern about the employees and their state of health. And from the business side, how do we make sales calls?
So in other words, it's going to be really hard to sell franchises. You're going to have a buyer that has already made the decision on their own. That it's probably less about sales and more about answering questions than ever before.
I think it's more introducing to what else is out there. I still think there's a perception that franchising is all about French fries, and they don't understand the complexity and the depth of the service side of it and what can still be done, what's open, what's validating right now. Some of the IT franchises are doing quite well right now. There's ones out there that are working nicely, but they're not aware of them. They don't have the big names. They don't have the billboards, the signs. And that's why the reason they come to us is so we can help them discover some of these hidden nuggets that are validating well. The other thing they want right now is people we've helped into these businesses. They want names. You're saying this is good. Who have you helped? We have to give them 2 or 3 names that we've worked with in the last year and make those introductions by email or by phone.
Jack, how important is in the sales process? Because there's some that Nick and I have seen throughout our conversations where franchisees just get up and they talk about management team and culture. How important do you think that is in the franchise sales process in terms of franchisee candidates connecting with a brand beyond the product or service they're selling, but whether it's the management team, the good they serve, or culture? Like, does that play a role?
I think right now with this environment, they're looking more for the support. What else are you doing? What are you doing to help your franchisees specifically right now? Are they giving one, or are they just collecting royalties? They want to know what's going on. Are they lowering royalties? Are they suspending it for a period of time? We have some that have given part of the royalties back for a period of time. And that shows a shine. It creates a lot of goodwill. It might hurt their balance sheet, but right now it's creating a lot of goodwill out there. So they're looking to say, what are you doing for your current franchisees? No one expected this. They didn't. You didn't. How are you helping them to get through this?
Jack, I want to end on this question. You have franchisors going to conferences searching for the secret to franchising, and they've been searching for a very long time and not finding anything other than do the fundamentals really well, make franchisees money, show unit level economics, get the validation. Like, it never changes. It seems like, as I'm listening to you, the reality is, even though COVID has created a disruption, things are still like, do good business, still focus on the fundamentals. We haven't really diverted from that, even though COVID has disrupted. It's not forcing franchising to change that much.
I think that's true. It's still there. I think the other part that's changing right now is, and the newer franchises, especially if they're going after very fragmented markets, how do you start to become the #1 brand as quickly as possible on the internet? They're going after the younger customers at home. They're doing a lot more Google searching right now than they ever did before. So how do you create that brand online and how do you use that to drive leads for your franchisees and customers for them. But they're looking for that marketing assistance right now more than anything we're seeing.
Jack, I really appreciate the insights and feedback. We wish you the best of luck as you continue to find a way to win during this time, and we look forward to hearing all the good news come out as you continue to grow.
Thank you very much, Nick. Well, thank you very
Jack.
much. All right, take
Take
care.
care.
now.
Thanks, Zach.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.